welcome to my little corner on the internet where I talk about what I have been making. My name is Nicola. I am the maker behind Mrs S Craft Corner. I live in Nottingham with my husband and our two boys, Oliver who is 10 and Joseph who is 8, and our dog Finn. Yeah, thank you for coming back, or welcome if you are a new viewer. It's lovely to have you here. Unfortunately I missed last week because Oliver wasn't very well, but I'm back again now and he's okay now, so yeah. I'm not wearing anything knitted today because it's a bit warm and I'll get very hot and flustered if I have any knitwear on. So we'll jump straight into finished objects. This is a new pattern by Andrea Mowry, Andrea Renee Knits, and it is her DRK Everyday Cowl, and it's beautiful. The pattern is incredible. It is so comprehensive. There's 4 sizes, so it starts at toddler, youth, adult medium and adult large, I believe. And so I did the adult medium size, followed the recommended needles, and I have done it with the leftover advent calendar that I made with my flax jumper. And so the pattern is knit flat, so you start at this corner here, which is what I started with the goldy colours, knitting backwards and forwards in the pattern, increasing until you get to a certain point and then start decreasing, and then you end on that row. Oh, it's really tricky. This is the bind off edge just here, and then you seam it down the side and you do mattress stitch on the wrong side to carry on the I-cord effect along the back. So yeah, so this was the advent that I got from the Fibre Fox in 2022, and it's a 4-ply fingering, superwash merino nylon and gold stellina, and you hold, because it is a DK weight pattern, so you hold 2 strands of the fingering together, and they have Andrew's done it through the pattern where she does spell out how many rows per colour that you need, although that was done for a 12 colour fade set, and what I had left wasn't quite 12 colours, so I added up all the rows that there were throughout the pattern and then divided it by how many sections that I needed. So you'd start with the 24, then the 24 and the 23, 23, so on and so forth throughout it. But yeah, there is a bit where she's done all of the maths for you, and even like included instructions on how to do it striped, and as always there's loads of videos on the different techniques if you're new to those, which I'd never done the mattress stitch before, but it's really easy. Yeah, so I'm really happy. I'll pop it on, but I'm not sure it will stay on. The only thing is I think I did this I-cord bit a bit tight, so there's not as much give in that bit, but the rest of it is quite nice. Yeah, so that's it on like a bandana cowl, and it is so cosy. I can see me making quite a few of these. I imagine they'll be quite nice gift knits because it's really quick to make. Like I said, I've cast it on and finished it in the time between my last podcast and now. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say about that pattern. It's really nice. I would recommend that. Oh my, so that is that one. I have finished one of the socks that I was using with the leftovers for the socks that I'd made for one of the ladies-in-law, and it's different to what I said I was going to do. because I'd started knitting, so I'd done 64 stitches and I'd done the 2x2 twisted rib, which is nice, but I don't think I like it that much more to put the effort in for another pair of socks. Yeah, so I'd done the 20 rows that I normally do, and then I'd worked out how much of each colour I'd need to do the whole sock, and the colour blocks were just too big and I didn't like the look of them. So then I ripped back and I decided that I thought some shorty socks might be quite nice in them anyway. So I've just done it as 8 rounds per colour. So did the 20 for the rib, and then I've folded it down and sewn that down so it's a folded cuff. 8 rounds of the first colour, then the slip stitch, heel flap and heel turn, onto the gusset decreases. Yeah, just carried on and ended, didn't quite end on the stripe that I thought I would, so there's 4 or 5 rows of the last colour before the toe, but it looks nice. So I finished that, and I have not long cast on the cuff for my second sock, and that's inside out, not because that's the twisted rib. I've done about 10-11 rounds on that. Yeah, so that's, because I've already spoken about the yarn and stuff in previous podcasts, there's not much else because they're technically a scrappy pair of socks because they are leftovers. And then the next one, which actually I only started working on yesterday, was my stone crop, which is here. So that is the back. Ooh, that is the back where all the stitch markers are. So this rainbow, don't know how I've put that in, the rainbow just doesn't want to show. That was where I was last podcast, and that I'd say I got 2 inches done yesterday maybe. And then this gingerbread one, that was one of the stitch markers that came in my advent calendar from the Fibre Fox. It's just so cute, which is the same as these little ones as well. Can you see that? Little like gem. Yeah, so that is the start of the pattern repeat. So all the way from here to the gingerbread is the 64 row pattern repeat of the colour work and the bubbles. But yeah, I think I'm only a few more rows away from splitting for the sleeves. This is, damage it. Oh yeah, well, yeah, the cable's not big enough, so it doesn't quite, but it will fit. If the cable wasn't there, that would fit over quite nicely. Yeah, so this is another pattern by Andrea Mowry. It is the Stone Crop, which is a lovely colour work and textured jumper. Yeah, the Stone Crop pullover, because there is a cardigan one as well. And yeah, using recommended needles. And actually, because I hadn't worked on this for a week and a half, 2 weeks, that was where the crochet hook I was on about last time was, because I needed it for the bubbles in here, and I completely forgot that that was even a thing until I pulled this out and I found it. But yeah, it was just a handmade polymer clay one from, I want to say, Flea Bubs and Lala, something like that. 3.5mm is used for that one, and that is using the Sea Glass yarn from Somerset Yarns. I've seen this before quite a few times, and then this is what's left on my second skein of the really dark blue, holding it upside down, Phil Klarner Arvetta. Yeah, fingering, weight 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. Again, you've seen that one quite a lot, so there's not much else to really say different from before. Just plodding along. nicely on that. But I think I hadn't worked on it because I've been wanting mindless knits, and because the DRK everyday cowl, I was having to, didn't bring my notebook up with me, but so I needed so many rows per colour, and then the pattern had so many repeats going over the same section over and over again, and because it wasn't done how Andrea tells you to do it, there was no tick off box for me, so I was having to use my notepad to mark each row that I did and then move it along on my Knit Companion app, and so that took a lot of focus. So that was my focus knit, and then I had my mindless stuff, which was a brand new cast on. I'm sure many of you will have seen this before. Well, not this one, but this pattern. It is the Musselburgh hat by Isole Batik. Now I'm knitting that in the Drops Alpaca yarn. So like the cream one that I've been using, it's the light grey mix, I think. I don't have the ball band with me anymore, but that's a separate ball. That's what I've got left of my first bit. And I'm knitting this on a 3 millimeter needle. It's just 16-inch cable. I think it's an Addy lace one. Another one of those stitch markers from the Fibre Fox advent calendar. And then this guy here, little hedgehog. It just marks where I finished the increases from the crown, so that when I measure it. And I'm making this because mother-in-law keeps using Rob's Musselburgh hat, or kept using Rob's Musselburgh hat when taking the dogs out for a walk, and so he'd suggested she might quite like one. So she doesn't know about this yet, but I'm making her a hat that she can go dog walking in, and because it is a massive tube that you knit, it's going to be 18-19 inches before we'll start doing any decreases. So it is just knitting round and round and round. Although this is the second time I've cast this one on. So the first time I did it, so originally I was taught to knit English style by my nonna, and then a few years ago tried the continental knitting, as I was under the impression that that would be quicker and I'd get stuff done. And for my tension, everything else I've knit has been continental, but knitting this to give my hands a break, I switched over to knitting English style. I realised that the stitches were just so much neater, and there was a visible difference between my continental knitting gauge and my English style knitting gauge. So that would have really bugged me. I couldn't have had a bit where it was a bit baggy compared to the rest, so I did undo all of it and start it again English style, because the stitches just looked so much more uniform. And normally it's not a problem with my continental knitting. I don't know if it's the alpaca and it just made it looser, but the stitches did look really uneven. And being the semi-perfectionist I am, I couldn't leave it, especially for a gift for somebody else. I mean, I may not have been bothered if it was just for me, because it's for somebody else. Yeah. And I took this, we went to the cinema yesterday to watch the new Mario film, which actually was pleasantly quite a nice film. I didn't have very high expectations for it, but yeah, the lads loved it, and so I took this, kind of knit in the cinema without watching what I'm doing, because it's just knitting round and round. That hasn't got a project bag, so that's not got anything to show you. I'm a bit naughty for stuff like that. I'll just keep it in my backpack and pull it out as and when I need it. But yeah, so plugging away on that one quite nicely. Then I've only got one more work in progress, which is my scrappy granny shawl. This is how much I've done. So where that donut one is, that was where I was last podcast. I've added 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 almost, because that one's in the middle of the row. Almost 15 rows and I'm now on, so up until the last blue here, they were all scraps from projects that I knit whilst being at mother-in-law's, and then the rest is this magic knot ball that I made. And that is made using all of the scraps left over from a granny stripe blanket that I actually have here, that I made. Like, it took me a year and a half to make this because it was Mini Skiing Club by Nora George, the Harry Potter one. That's going to be upside down. But yeah, so this blanket is huge. It's the one that's always on the backdrop of my opening little bit. And so yeah, so that one I'd knit a stripe, and it'd use roughly about half of the yarn, put them all in a bag, and I did that for, I think it was 13 months, 14 months I did that, and then went back in again and used all of the other half to create the rest of it. Where would it have been? Can't remember where halfway is, but yeah, so each of the colours has got 4 stripes in here really, because they'll be used further down and up again. See quite clearly with the black one, that's been used twice. So there was little odds and sods from that left over that I found into this magic knot ball, just so that I can finish this, because at the minute I don't have any more scraps to put into it. But I quite like the idea of it when it's all done. Be nice. Let's see, tiny. Yeah, just want it as a wearable blanket, and so that is being crocheted on the 3.5mm hook now that I've found it. I no longer need the other one from my friend, so I'll need to give that back to her next time I see her. And it's all 4-ply fingering weight yarn, all hand-dyed. And yeah, so the magic knot ball, follow Kay from the Crazy Sock Lady, her tutorial on it, and use her tip of putting a little bit of this liquid stitch on the knot, just so that it holds it in place a bit more securely, just to give me a bit of peace of mind more than anything. I'm sure the magic knot ball works absolutely fine, but I worry about stuff, so I'd prefer to know for sure that it's definitely going to stay there. And with it being scrappy, I do not want to sew in all those ends, so this stops that. But yeah, so that is the crochet. I still haven't cracked out the baby blanket for the nephew. I'll probably do that because the next time Oliver's in hospital will be his long stay, so I'll use that on one of the days just to get a dent in that. But there's no rush because the baby's not due until July. Yeah, so there's no urgency for that. Just plodding along on these projects. But yeah, so as I say, Oliver wasn't very well. Had a bit of a temperature, went into hospital. He's now on antibiotics and home. He's doing absolutely fine. And we went to the cinema and he saw some friends, which was lovely. And yeah, not really been up to much other than that. Let me know what you've been up to in the past couple of weeks. You're looking forward to Easter. Yeah, it's my husband's birthday the Tuesday after Easter, and so I'll be cooking him a lamb dinner or something on Easter Sunday, having some friends around on the Saturday just to celebrate his birthday, because we won't be able to do that on the Tuesday. But yeah, I think that's all. No, I have some acquisitions. Hold up. Yeah, so I have one acquisition. Knit.co.uk was having a sale on Sadness Gone yarns, and so I picked up 3 of these tin line balls of yarn in it's like a raspberry colourway. I don't think it has the name on here. But yeah, it's where's it gone? 53% cotton, 33% viscose and 14% linen, and it's 220 meters per 50-gram ball. Yeah, and so I am planning on making a cumulus top. I think it is, it's the tank top V-neck one. It said that it only needs about 3 balls, so I figured I've never made any summer knits. I thought a nice little tank top, be quick and easy, and something lightweight. Obviously wool keeps you warm, so hopefully this will be lovely to wear in the summer. So yeah, that is everything for this week. I hope that you're all well and you have a fantastic Easter, and thank you for coming back again. I appreciate you all. Yeah, so take care. Bye bye.